Olá, sejam bem-vindos à 13ª edição do Inédit, um dos melhores festivais do mundo quando se tratam de documentários musicais. Eu sou Sérgio Martins e hoje comando uma conversa pesada e gutural com Kati Grönholm e Mathias Lillmåns, que vamos falar sobre o filme Shout Your Lungs Out. Kati, first of all, I forgot how to pronounce it in Finnish. Jukka?
Pakko Huutaa.
Pakko Huutaa.
Yes.
Yep.
This is a documentary about heavy metal in Finland, but it's not a traditional documentary. It's more based in characters, in metalheads, and an artist, that's Mathias. Then talking about famous bands or famous schools of heavy metal. Kati, how do you have this idea?
Because I know a lovely little girl named Jennifer. She's my brother's daughter, and she is a typical black metalhead. You know, she's black-haired and always using these band T-shirts and typical metalhead here in Finland. And she's listening to very dark and I think as an outsider, very scary music sometimes. So I was a bit curious, what are you listening to and why? And Jennifer, this girl in her teens, started to educate me. So she took me to concerts and playing music, explaining what they are singing about, because when they are growling, I didn't understand the word. But now I know a lot more about the lyrics and I like the sound and I know a lot more now. But my point of view as a director for this documentary is the outsider view. So I have learned a lot from Jennifer, from Mathias, and from rest of the gang involved in this documentary.
What amazed me and in the documentary, for example, that the way that you pick it, the characters. You have Mathias, that is famous in Finland, but you have, for example, a kid that it's some kind of existentialist kid.
Yes.
And you have lot that sang, how can I say, noble music until fell in love with metal. And you have a writer of lyrics or have a heavy metal. How did you pick these characters? How did you find them?
Because I'd like to know more about different musicians and different people working and enjoying and are passionate about metal. And Mathias was an easy one because he's very famous here and over there and all over the world. And I heard that he is going to have the first time ever in Finland a school class where he is going to learn normal people like you and me to growl, to sing in this special metal way. And I heard it because he was doing the first class in Finland in my old hometown in the Finnish archipelago. So I contacted Mathias and we started from that. And then I had the need to have a woman involved also because we have a lot of metalheads women in this country, like my brother's girl, Jennifer. So I found this Lotta, and she is a starting singer in this way. She has been singing in different styles her whole life. She is a musician and writing own songs, but she has never before done this in metal. She's learning to sing in this way. She's learning to write lyrics in a new band. It's a kind of hardcore punk band, but there are many things similar with metal. So, and then I had this young guy that represents something like my Jennifer, the girl, is a typical metalhead that is loves the music, loves the feeling that he belongs to this scene, to these people. You know, you can see them because Finland is full of these metal heads, and you can recognize them. They are an own gang, and he was a very good member of these people because he is so he has read a lot, he has listened very, very much on this kind of music, and he knew everything about the lyrics. And that interested me, the lyrics. What are they shouting about? Because I don't understand it when I hear it, but now it's so fascinating what they are singing about in this hard way, because they are so different and so important things that metal bands really are singing about.
And you, Mathias, let's begin with those classical questions. Why the Finnish are so in love with heavy metal? Because there is a city in Finland that is considered the capital, the world capital of heavy metal. The government in Finland, the embassy in Finland, in Brazil, it's even like to promote heavy metal as a part of your culture. What is the secret? What happens in the country?
Well, I think there's something about metal music that resonates with Finnish mentality. If you, for example, listen to Finnish like traditional music, going back in time, it's really sort of based on minor scales all the time. A little bit. It's a little bit more melancholic. It's quite sentimental. It's also quite somber, like in a dark way. The lyrics and the music as well, and metal music sort of fits, and it's, at least to me, it felt natural to go into it. For example, if we would go to the Mediterranean areas, they have way happier folk music in those countries. It's based on major scale. Let's say like Greek music, it's really upbeat, it's really happy. Or Italian music, well, there's probably brutality in that as well, because I heard the lyrics can be quite dark, but still it's the whole thing with having that kind of darker kind of melodies probably don't fit that well to all the sun and all the nice weather and warm and happy folk music. So to me, it's always been about being used to hearing that kind of melodies and kind of melancholy that Finnish really like pop music and folk music have.
One of the main things that I saw in the movie, when you were talking that you were in a black metal band, that is for those who doesn't know, it's a more dark themes or even satanic themes, and you were accused of being a satanist. And there is a beautiful thing that Lot says in the movie, that you can't judge a person for what this person listens to. How is the prejudice? Is there any prejudice for heavy metal musicians or heavy metal bands? Do you face it in your day?
Well, I wouldn't say that anymore. It's become such a big part of the mainstream scene in Finland as well. And there was at some point, I think when I lived in Helsinki, I think we had like 11 metal bars that we used to go to, and all the cafeterias. When you went during the day, they have this rock channel called Radio Rock that is on in cafes and stuff like that. So it's not that much anymore. And also having the Tuska festival in the middle of the city, in the middle of the capital of Finland back then, it also sort of made it part of the street view in Finland to be a metalhead. But me coming from a small area in Finland, we are like 20,000 people in the city where I'm coming from, and in the 90s, when it wasn't that, we weren't that visual in that time. There was a couple of long-haired guys with metal t-shirts, Metallica shirts on, and people had lots of they thought that we were doing really bad, and I was accused of what's this like offering small animals and stuff like that. There were like wild rumors going on what we were doing in our rehearsal room, and that we like to burn animals and stuff like that. And but
maybe burn churches.
Yeah, because of
Buddhism. Well, back then there weren't really any church burnings in Finland.
They were in Norway, yes. That was Norway.
Exactly. But so it never. But there was some people. They were people that they went into a graveyard in my city and knocked over some tombstones, and we got actually sort of accused that it was our fault, that it was us that did it. And actually, when in my school, I had to go to the headmaster to talk about it, and they wanted to actually go through all like evidence that it wasn't us and blah blah blah, and then it turned out that it wasn't us, and we had nothing to do with it. We were probably locked in our rehearsal room when it happened, because we were practicing 3-4 times every week, and we were there for like 6 hours straight. So and I was there, or I was probably sitting at a computer because I was a big guy into computers. So we had this computer club. So I didn't go out and do any bad things. Probably would have had more street creds right now if I would have knocked over some gravestones, but never was into that. So yeah.
But I have to say that still today, when I have learned knowing a lot of young metalheads, they still get these same comments, that this music is going to do you something bad. It has something bad in it. And when you're listening to very dark metal music, you can't feel well. You are going to get, mental sick and things like that. And that was my inspiration to do this documentary, because the young metalheads said that they are so misunderstood. And it's still today. It was in the 90s, but young metalheads are coming all the time, and they feel the same, like Mathias, you did when you were in your teens.
It reminds me an interview that I read from Max Cavalera from Sepultura, and I think it was for Kerrang magazine, that's a huge magazine in heavy metal. He said, "People look at me as if I drank the blood of my wife for breakfast."
Yeah.
But I think it's great in you, Mathias, that you are shown in 2 points of, even in 3 points. One as a producer, another in Finntroll. As a character and playing for a huge audience, but also in Dispute, where you have this the guts to take a van, go to a small venue, and sleep in the apartment of the person who invited you. What drives you? What is your inspiration to do something like that? To say, okay, I play for 5,000 people today, but I will play for 50, 60 people for a change of how much beer I can have and the plate of the day.
And one hamburger.
Yeah. Only one. No, but for some reasons, Finntroll, I really like doing those big shows and, going to big festivals and do it. But there's such a big machinery behind it. It's when we, for example, fly somewhere, we are 9 people going. It's lots of arrangements. It's lots of gear. It's lots of everything. It's so doing one, like festival show with Finntroll, that's going to be 1 hour. Then there's like 1 hour of rock and roll, and then there's 47 hours of traveling and doing all that. So it's sometimes it's really, really fun to just jump in the car because with Dispute we're only 3 people, and we have a nice car that we can turn one seat down so we can fit all the gear in, and just jump in a car and go away, not having to rent 2 vans to go somewhere, fly, check in and out of hotels. No, it's really easy. It's just go with our drummer's car wherever we want. We actually did a European tour with the band, and we actually drew the whole way. So we went from Finland, we drew down to Estonia, where we changed into a little bit bigger car. But yeah, I really like, this small kind of like do-it-yourself culture as well. And that's where I come from. Before I joined Finntroll, I didn't, gradually get into bigger and bigger stages. No, it was full on, like from the small DIY gigs to the big stages. So I sort of started missing also the fun thing of just like driving yourself to a gig and building everything yourself. And so I really enjoy both sides of it. So.
And it was particularly funny when you say that the mother of one of the members of the band gave you sandwiches and juice for the road.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was so. Yeah, because the boys, we were going on long trips. She made sandwiches and like, I think there was like some pastries as well, like sweet pastries for everyone, and we ate them during like the first 3 days or something like that. We had like, no, but yeah,
Kati, one of the things that I love the way of your way of doing this movie, it's that you don't interfere in the action. It reminds me, I'm a huge fan of Albert and David Maisel. They have this kind of they don't interfere. They just let the action roll. And there is a particularly scene that the kid Stefan it's in a bucolic place, and you think that he's listening to Four Seasons by Vivaldi, and he listening to one of the most loud, nasty, and dirty heavy metal songs that I ever heard in my life.
So, oh, really?
No, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but how did you made this? Did you? Am I right? You didn't want to interfere. You just put the camera and let it roll.
Yes. Well, this is a very easy job to do,
Yeah.
No, of course I have planned and interview. I have done much more in the backstage that you can see, but to get these people to don't be nervous anymore, they get to know me very well before we are shooting anything, and I try to come as near them that they will let me, and they trust me and I can trust them, and when this trustfulness is working, then it's quite easy to do this. Of course, you have this team around you. It's a cameraman, it's some sound guy, and somebody are rigging lamps and things, and it's not so easy to be yourself. But when I have given them time before the shooting, it works out quite nicely. And I really love this guy in this bookstore where he's working without getting any money. He's doing it for free because he's a warm, good-hearted young man. He wants to help other people, and he listened to very hard stuff, as you said. So you were shocked, were you?
No. I have a son that is a metalhead, and he took me to a heavy metal concert. I don't think it was Behemoth or Gorgoroth, something like that. And
all right,
after the gig, I said, tomorrow we're going to a church. We'll practice a ritual of exorcism in you.
Oh my, yeah. But this I love these people. They are, as the Tuska Festival in Finland also, it's a big thing, and the people there are so lovely. They take care of each other. You can go there with children. You can let your teenage girl or boy go there for themselves, because they are kind people. They are looking scary maybe, and they are screaming maybe, and they are listening to music that may scare you if you're outsider like me. But I have get to know these people, and they are so good-hearted, warm people.
No, you can talk to any promoter of concert in Brazil, and he'll tell you heavy metal fans are the more polite, more interested in music than any other
it's really a big thing for them. It's not only music, it's not only entertainment. We can't forget it's really entertainment, and it's a show going on in their head also when they are listening. It's so much for them. It's quite like a lifestyle, I would say.
Yeah. And when I was talking about your way of filming, for example, I see a lot of documentaries that it's clear that the director said, "Oh, now it's the part that you cry. Now it's the part that you are sad." No, you just let it happen. And that's what's the beautiful thing about the documentary.
Yeah, I like to do it in that way. I like to get to know them, and they get to know me so good that they dare to be like that themselves. And then it's just camera rolling.
Yeah. And Mathias, one of the things that I also like, it's the lyrics. You have this part of heavy metal in Nordic countries that it's heavily based on mythology, especially in, for example, in melodic heavy metal. But for example, your band Dispute talk about actual problems like alcoholism, for example, and even poverty. That we that live in a third world country, we can imagine that you have these problems in Europe, but they are very real, and I think that you put it in a very right way.
Yeah, definitely. Finntroll, as you said, that's connected more to nature and to Finnish tradition and Finnish folklore. But in Dispute, it's me and the drummer writing most of the lyrics. Well, we write everything nowadays because we had a guitar player before. He also did write something, but he also wrote, kind of from my own perspective. So everything that I write about in Dispute is sort of a way to get some, like out of myself. I need to. It's kind of, how to say, like going to psychologist. it's a way to to go through stuff, and everything is like from my own perspective written that I write, and the stuff that the drummer writes is from his perspective, and things that we both have been through and that we see around us all day. So be it a little bit political sometimes, yes, also but mostly it's sort of like a self-reflection, and also talking about problems like alcoholism and of course poverty and stuff related to this that may be causing you like mental unhealth in that kind of way. So yeah, it's really important issues in my opinion.
And Kati, sorry, what is your how is your knowledge of heavy metal right now?
Better than before, and I hope that other outsiders than me can get something. I want with this documentary that at least you know more when you have seen this documentary. You know more about these metalheads, about this music, about the lyrics, what they want to say, what they are shouting about. You don't have to love them or like the music after this, but you at least know more what are driven them and what the lyrics, where it comes from, and it comes from very big things in life. They are singing about environmental issues. They are singing about capitalism. They are singing about so actual and so important things that you can't believe it. I didn't believe it. I didn't know it. I didn't understand it. I think I understand a lot more now, really. So that's my thing with this whole documentary, to tell other people than me, other like me, that what are these guys and women? What are they shouting about? Why? Where is it coming from? And I know when you said that it's therapy, Mathias, when you are writing the lyrics about your own experiences in life, and that I know that when I have talked about these kind of things with so many people that are not in the documentary, but when I was doing the research, I know that for many people in Finland, at least, this kind of music, your music, is used as, you may say, therapy as well, because they think that it gives them something, like, I'm not alone with my problems. There are others that are thinking like me. And like the Staffan, the young man in the program, in the documentary, says, it's like my scream. When they are screaming, it's like my scream. I think it's so beautiful in one way.
When you are doing the documentary, Kati, would you have any inspiration? What documentaries that you've saw that inspired you?
I have never done a documentary like this before about music. So I didn't get the inspiration for this one from anything, I think, because I haven't been seeing a lot of music documentaries either. So this was a very new place for me to go. But now I have to say something. Don't tell my mom, but I love metal nowadays. Really, I do. It's relaxing. When I'm really stressed and fucked off, it's so relaxing. So I think I really have got something. Haven't I, Mathias?
What are you listening to?
I like this traditional folk music like Mathias and Finntroll. I have discovered Finntroll now. I know that this band has been working on for 20 years or something. And I was like, I found it now. And I love a lot of your songs because they are singing, they are lyrics about old time and traditions maybe, but everything is like today. When you are singing about things that get me thinking of Greta Thunberg, for example, the Swedish little girl that is fighting for the environmental things and for our planet. I see and hear things like that. And I've got a lot of response on this documentary from people that said that it was lovely to hear Katla speaks. How Katla speaks is the singer of Finntroll before Mathias, and Katla has been one of the big screamers. I think I have seen some old pictures when he was really going mad on the stage, and now when his fans and Finntroll fans saw him in the forest, in the deep forest somewhere in Finland, writing your lyrics and thinking about lyrics that suits Mathias to sing, and many people that write to me about this Katla. Wow, I was a Katla fan when I was young, and now I see him today, and he's talking. He's not shouting. Oh my, he has something to say.
I think it's about the lyrics in Finntroll. I think it's the beautiful. It's beautiful to see the connection with nature, the respect for nature, and
Exactly.
and there is some kind of a reverence with the old gods, for example.
Yeah, exactly. And as I've said before, lots of this is about, sort of, if you fight nature, nature will fight back. That's sort of a big thing here as well in the Finntroll lyrics. So that we can also draw parallels to today, and there's lots of lyrics that are actually about sort of contemporary subjects as well. On the last album, we have this song that's called Hexbrygg, that is like the witch's brew or something, that you could really think that there's some kind of like witch that they're traveling for long ways to get to see her visions and blah blah blah. But that brew is actually sort of about the whole race for oil. So the witch's brew is actually, in the end, it's oil.
I think it's so fascinating. I think this is so fascinating. The lyrics and what you are singing about and shouting about. I'm still, I think it's lovely to. I have found this, and I hope a lot of people find it as well.
Don't you want to put English lyrics in Dispute? Dispute has English lyrics. Or...
No, we haven't actually. It's weird because it's sort of it's metal, but it also has lots of this like hardcore punk influences, crust punk, D-beat kind of music in it as well. And for me, when I listened to that kind of music back in the 90s, all of the bands were from Sweden, and they almost all of them sang in Swedish as well. So it felt really, how to say, like close for me, some close to heart to sing in Swedish, and it also really goes with the sound. It's strange that I have right now, I have like 3 big bands that I play in, and all 3 bands do most of their stuff in Swedish. So Finntroll and Dispute, they are totally in Swedish, but my third band, And Oceans, they have some lyrics. The old albums are in Swedish. There's also a little bit of Finnish songs, and and then English as well. So I've been always more like easier for me to write in English for some reason, but with Dispute it just felt natural to do it in Swedish, and it also felt a little bit more personal in some kind of way. So it was more like that. My voice, well, I speak most of my time I speak Finnish, but also I speak lots of Swedish with my parents and all my relatives. So for me, Swedish was it was my more sort of describing my voice. So it would probably get more, commercial success if we would have done it in English. Same thing probably with Finntroll as well. But I think we would lose lots of, the soul in the band by doing it in English. And doing now, after releasing lots of material in Swedish, it would only feel like selling out. So not gonna do it. Not gonna happen.
as we are talking. Oh, sorry.
I was asking Mathias, that you are working very hard with these lyrics, and you also know that people that are your fans, they don't get it. It's in Swedish. They don't know what you are singing about, all of them. How important is it? Or is it so important in the end of the day that you know exactly what these bands are singing about?
Yeah.
I think it's more about, like the feeling of it. And, Swedish is such a melodic language. So to go along with those melodies, for some reason, it's to me, it's way better. And if you really want to know what we're singing about, there are translations out there. And nowadays we have things called Google Translate as well, if you want to.
Oh, no. Not working.
No, but for example, the old Finntroll albums, if you open up the booklet for the CD or the vinyl, you can actually see that there are small explanations of every song in English as well. So you can actually read what it's about.
By the way, you came to Brazil with Finntroll.
Mm-hmm.
How was the experience of playing here?
Oh, it's been really good. I think it was 2011 we played the first time in Sao Paulo, and I remember the gig. It's every time when you go, we could say like south of the border, when you go south of America, like North America, people tend to get really loud. So we were really blown away because it was one of those like third world problem, like first world problems first were problems because we couldn't hear what we were playing because the audience was so loud. So so it was like, which song is this even? Because we couldn't hear, people were screaming so loud. So it's a good problem to have. And and we were here I think 5 years ago, 2016, played in Sao Paulo
2016
again. We were with Paradise Lost and Epica here. It was really cool. First show of that tour we did. South America, I think we did 7 countries or something like that. And
I was talking about the lyrics in English, but and to quote an old joke that I did with you, if Scorpions can write in English, you can write in English.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let's hope my English lyrics are better, than Scorpions.
And one of the other great scenes in the documentary is when you are recording, because it's just a small studio, and this is a great sound. How is the production of heavy metal in Finland? You have huge studios, or is it more domestic?
Well, there are like different kind of things. For example, the drummer of Dispute, he's got his own studio. That's like quite small one, but it's a good one, and he makes really good albums. If you listen to a lot of underground black metal, he's been really involved in mixing and mastering and recording really underground black metal, old school death metal, and other kinds of metal as well, but mostly that kind of genre. But that's a small one, and with how the industry works right now, small bands that get signed, they usually don't get enough money to go to a big studio. So nowadays it's really usual that bands, they record the albums themselves, and then they just send the tracks to a mixing engineer, and the engineer does the production of the album. So there are both of it. But for example, with Finntroll, we always book like a month in a big studio, and we do everything there, and we come out with a finished product. So there's both sides, but all these kinds of small studios, home studios, have been popping up everywhere. As you can see, I am right now in my own small studio here that I have. Well, actually, it's quite a big studio, but we are 9 guys sharing this. So I have my streaming corner over here, and it's getting more and more usual to have this kind of places and recording your own albums, and then sending them to people to put the finishing touches on them.
And Kati and Mathias, if you have to pick one album to illustrate what was shown in this beautiful documentary, what album should you recommend for us?
Well,
silence.
Yeah. Well, of course, me being the artist, one of the main bands are, of course, Dispute, because they're traveling with us on tour, and of course going with Finntroll. But that we had this new 7-inch vinyl out. It's called Livsglädje back then, and that was probably would be my choice of soundtrack for this documentary.
I like also what Lotta has done with her band Svarta Havet. It is the Black Sea, Svarta Havet. It's the name of her band, and I think it's much energy, and she is also singing about this and to save our planet and this and that. What are we doing wrongly, we people on the planet, and things like young people today are thinking a lot about. So I think Lotta's lyrics is really important to many listeners, I think, today, because she's singing about things that many youngsters go and think about, and they are afraid also. So I think her music may be more important in the future.
Oh, I think it's Lotta. It's one of the all the characters are fantastic, and Lotta it's not different because she seems like the girl next door, and then when she sings, she assumes that demoniac voice, and it's fantastic. And Matthias, I know that you want to teach us some techniques for us. Is that right?
Well, yeah, I work as a singing teacher, and especially in my kind of field. And as Kati said in the beginning of this, that I had one of the first like workshops in this. So, teaching you guys out there today would be a really, really long process, and it would take at least as long as we have been talking already. But I would like to say something, about it, because there's so many people out there that think that it's sort of kind of dangerous to do this, and that you will destroy your voice, and that you will sort of not being able to speak afterwards. Because I heard that as well when I started as a screamer back in the 90s. I got from all my friends and relatives and parents and stuff. They said, "Yeah, take it easy because you're going to destroy a voice." And I really wanted to take this opportunity to say that if you do it correctly, you're not going to destroy your voice. It's actually really, really interesting. And I've been diving into anatomy quite a lot the last year and a half, something, and to learn what we are actually doing, because it's such a new style. So it hasn't had a lot of research. But the thing is, we are not using our vocal cords when we are doing it correctly. So you will not damage your speaking voice or your like normal singing voice. You will actually use something that is called the false chords. So something that I didn't know is that humans have two sets of vocal cords. They have the normal vocal cords, and we have the false vocal cords. And what we are using is the false vocal cords that we use when we are sort of like mimicking like animals. If we're like trying to bark like a dog or something, when we are doing this kind of like sighing, or like doing like like a frustrated teenager, like
Yeah.
like that we are actually using using our yeah, exactly. And we are actually, yeah, there we have it. Kati, for example, she used her false vocal cords there. And this is really interesting because when they are meant for these kinds of sounds, so you cannot really destroy them. What you can do is, if you do it wrong, if you use your normal vocal cords, like shouting really hard, like with your normal voice really shouting or something, then yeah, of course, then you can destroy it. But that's not what we're going to do here. We're going to do a different set of use a different set of vocal cords that actually are meant for this kind of noises. So yeah, so that's something that I really wanted to point out, that this sort of kind of like a preconception that it's really dangerous and that you will hurt yourself, it's not right. It's actually a natural thing. It's probably more natural than speaking, because back in the day, like thousands of years ago, before we developed speaking, we probably grunted to each other and used the false chords. So yeah, it's actually probably like, if we are checking on like human evolution, we have probably used our false chords in a longer time period than we actually have used our normal vocal cords. So yeah.
Is there any singer that you can appoint that does it perfectly well?
There are a lot of singers that doing it really well, and I use lots of these when I'm teaching as well, because I've found it really important for some people that to if I give them example of singers, then they will try to sort of to mimic those singers at home, to repeat what the singer is doing, and that sort of helps them do it better. For example, one of my, well, let's say like teenage heroes were the singer of Behemoth, Nergal, he's called. He was one of yeah, he was a really big inspiration of me that made me actually. Back in the 90s, I sang with a really, really high pitched, like black metal voice, but listening to Behemoth made me explore different kinds of areas of that singing, and made me sort of go into lower parts to more like more like Sepultura area of the screaming. And so he's been a good example to use in these, and he's really good at what he's doing as well. So yeah, so for example, that one is a good example. I also use in my teaching, I use this Swedish band called Amon Amarth, and the singer Johan Hägg. He's really like a textbook example of a death metal singer. So and he also sings quite in a slow tempo. So that's his style, is to do like long words and like not really fast and technical. So it's good for young and singers that have just started, not to do too difficult stuff. And they are, the lyrics are there. You can find everything on YouTube, and it's really easy accessible as well. So yeah, so those are two good examples, for example.
Kati, have you learned to do a guttural voice?
I have tried it a lot, and I was listening to Mathias doing this class workshop, and then I had this private teacher in Lotta. She said to me, "It's so easy, just try it." And then I tried, and she said, there you go. And I still on the same level. I have one sound, and it lasts for about 2 or 3 seconds, and then I don't have air anymore. So I need to train. Definitely, I need to train.
Yeah, the air supply is a big problem here, because you run so much faster out of air than with normal singing. It's
Are you going to try?
Me?
Yes, you.
No. No.
No. But after his advices, you should try it. It's you feel something when you do it. You feel strong. I think there are some lion kind of animal in us when we are screaming. It's like screaming like a lion.
But that's actually where the word growling comes from, because the lions, the sound they make is actually growling. So it's actually like growling sort of means roaring like a lion or something like that. So well, some people have called it like barking as well, because it's like barking like a dog. But yeah, the word growling comes from lions.
I will practice in the next soccer game of my team, and the next practice against my president. Well, we are going to the end of our interview.
Yeah,
I'd like to thank you very much, Kati, and congratulations for the beautiful documentary. And
thank you.
Thank you very much, Matthias, and I hope to see you soon here in Brazil.
Let's hope the borders open soon.
Yes.
Yeah.
And enjoy the film, and thank you very much. This was a lovely discussion with you guys.
Lembrando que vou usar o título em inglês, Shout Your Lungs Out, ou Jagmaster Skrika. Entra hoje, nesta quarta-feira, no Inédit, e vocês poderão assisti-los. Muito obrigado. Thank you very much, Mathias. Thank you very much, Kati.